Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. The Green Bay Packers won again and sent the boys away.
Just two lifelong Packers fans ready to do a Packers-only show. Back.
No. Oh, baby. We here.
We steer.
You in the right direction. Welcome to another edition of the Grossi Perna Show. I'm Tom Grossi. That's Brandon Perna. And everybody's saying it's GPS.
Woo! Wow. Both the Lions and the Packers postseason dubs.
Dude, what a frackin' game. A statement game. Jordan Love. Him.
Dude, he's impressive.
Aaron Jones also owns the Dallas Cowboys.
A couple of those throws are just disgusting by Jordan Love.
He is playing as legitimately one of the best QBs in the league right now. How he's been playing the last month and a half has been absolutely incredible.
Both the Packers and Lions benefited from scoring on their opening drive and then scoring again. And the difference was I think we just saw the difference after that between the Cowboys and the Rams in terms of being a legit football team. Because the Cowboys folded. They just folded.
Dude, I had hoped, of course, the Packers would win. I was like, I think there's a shot. They run Aaron Jones a lot.
Yeah.
Which they did. But the defense didn't even show up.
Yeah, that's the only thing that should worry the Packers right now is that, did we play a real team? Is it going to be a lot harder next week, or are we just this good? Because we made the Cowboys look like they should be a UFL team. They should be relegated. If a playoff team could ever be relegated, it was what the Cowboys did on Sunday.
Yeah.
Dude, it was so funny. I'm watching that game. It's 14-0. I'm like, Tom's got to be feeling good. Bark's got to be feeling good. And that opening drive, I'm like, shit, LaFleur's got a nice game plan. And their offense, methodical. I was like, if they just do this all game, long drives, even if the Cowboys score fast, they keep coming back and doing this. And then it's 14-0. Then it's 20-0. And then it's 27-0. And as soon as they were getting close to 27-0, I'm like, I got to go see how Tom's doing on his stream right now. I was like, it's got to be popping. And then I think it was at 31,000 people at that moment. I was like, holy crap.
Yeah.
It's a perfect storm of elated Packers fans. And then I think a bunch of fans just ready to watch the Cowboys get spanked. Yep. And then, of course, some actual Cowboys fans being
that are just dude, I don't even know what to do. Yeah, I mean, this game, I have a lot to talk about with that game. Post game is all done and edited. Johnny's dealing with some internet issues, so we're going to try to get that out at some point today. But legitimately, this is, how I felt about this for the past few weeks. Yeah. I was like, the Packers have already had a great season. Whatever happens, happens. House money, what have you. And I think a lot of the narratives today are going to be about the Dallas Cowboys and how they blew this, right? Undefeated at home, number 2 seed. A number 7 seed has never won in the playoffs since they expanded a couple years ago. And it is just a monumental collapse for Dallas against a team that on paper they should have beaten.
Yeah.
But again, I want to shift a little bit of the focus to holy crap. You talk about Matt LaFleur. What a game plan by him. Aaron Jones, amazing yesterday. Jordan Love, perfect QB rating. Like, absolutely. Then he came in and threw that one.
It did drop because of that, because they had to put him back in.
They had to put him back in. Yeah, that one was not so great because here's the thing. Like, we were up 27-0. I was like, yeah, I want another one. Like, just got to keep it going. And thankfully, the offense kept it going because I don't trust Joe Barry in any way, shape, or form. So, I have to give props because the first 3 quarters, he called an amazing game.
Yeah. I mean, he called an amazing game. Dak did not play well. Like, Dak was just playing stupid. And I feel like I don't want Dak to choke. Cowboys choking as a whole is fine, but like I really like Dak Prescott. I think we just hate the Cowboys because they remain popular no matter what happens.
Of course,
right?
Yeah.
And they just is one of the I feel like what was the last like ass beating we've seen in the playoffs that was like this? I can't remember every wild card round, and even like the Texans over the Browns, like
the first half was competitive
for a half.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah,
but
here's the thing. Now, we were talking about. Oh, Dan Quinn getting that job. McCarthy gets fired. Dan Quinn did not look good. And like now you look at, I made that joke and then I kind of like talked myself into it a little bit. If I'm Jerry Jones, I might be calling Bill Belichick to see what he's doing.
Oh yeah.
I might be giving him a ring because this is, I was talking to Scooter yesterday. He says hi. And he's like, it goes beyond like a single player. It goes beyond a single coach. Like, it's an organizational thing.
Sure.
And to be completely honest, I get that. That's how I felt, when we had McCarthy after the Super Bowl, we had that. It's like, yeah. And then just you had a decade of very competitive play going into the playoffs the majority of the years. But it's like, okay, like we got to get over the hump here. And thankfully, they won when it was early, and Rodgers was able to get one. So it was like, okay, it's not as bad as it could have been. But for the Cowboys, they've had this now with multiple QBs stretched over since the 90s, and they just can't get over the hump. And it just seems that whenever it comes to playoff time, regardless of what their record is in the playoffs, they could be the best team, the second best team, undefeated at home, whatever. It doesn't matter because they're just not built for the playoffs. And I know that is a very general thing to say. And I know it's oversaid on a lot of like talking head shows and all that.
Sure.
But legitimacy, like when they get to the playoffs, the Cowboys just like fold under pressure. And I think you could look at coaching as to why that is a potential problem. But then it also comes down to execution, and there just wasn't any because that is the worst game that the Cowboys defense has had this year. It's the most points that they let up.
Yeah.
The Packers had their best
postseason game, right?
Yep. I mean, right now, the Green Bay Packers have more playoff wins in AT&T Stadium than the Cowboys do. Like, that's not a great stat, Bob. That's probably, the 49ers probably have our number with that. But, dude, it's rough. It's Rob Ryan.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how LaFleur and Shanahan prepare for each other, right? Because it's such a similar background, and the Packers were so much more well prepared for this game.
Yes.
And if you're talking about the Cowboys and it not being like one thing, it's a guy like Belichick who could come in there and have his own approach, his own shaping of the culture. And a lot of places might not want that type of culture anymore, because it's such like that old school thing. But maybe because the Cowboys have so many pieces, like maybe that's a team that would actually be ready for Belichick and ready to put in that kind of work just to get over this hump and get rid of this narrative.
Well, because now we're talking about McCarthy, we're talking about Dan Quinn. Dude, like contracts are going to be up. And like now here we go again. Like we're going to have to talk about Dak. Dak, who you could argue was a front runner for MVP for a decent chunk of the season. Like ever since that like Eagles game, the first one, and that Rams game, he looked really good. And then he was like really putting together a great resume. it's just like they're regular season champions, just like the Packers were the past couple of years. Not last year, obviously, but the 2 years before that. Yeah, you could do all the stuff in the regular season. You could set records. You'd be undefeated at home. You could do all this stuff. But maybe it's going to take like a legit culture change. And I think Jerry Jones, if we're talking about any owner, that's the guy who is like, you know what? I'll do whatever it takes to win a Super Bowl. So, like, I'll bring in a guy. I'll throw all the money at him that it will possibly take. Come here, last 2 years, do whatever you want. Try to win us a Super Bowl. Run the team the way you want to run it. Because like you said, the Cowboys do have all those pieces. Maybe. Because I don't see how McCarthy survives this.
Yeah. I mean, I think Jerry would be like, come in, Belichick, and I will just leave myself inside the glory hole all year, and you do whatever you need.
And it is a reminder, I've been here when it was glory hole days, and I've been here when it wasn't. And so, having said that, I want me some glory hole.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, listen, like I know this is gonna sound, bad. I feel for Cowboys fans.
Yeah, no, I do
because,
too.
like, dude, it legitimately, and this was talking to Scooter the other day. It's a window closing, like a window just closed. Whether it's going to be able to be reopened or not, that remains to see what they're going to do in the offseason. And it's going to be an interesting offseason for the Cowboys. But this is one of those things that to have the season that they did and then to lose the way they did at home, it's like this is bad. This is like people get fired, people lose their jobs, players get cut. You know, and it's kind of like what are we going to do now?
Yeah, and McCarthy's been there. Is it 4 seasons? McCarthy's been with the Cowboys,
somewhere around there. Yeah.
Yeah, I keep thinking he's only been there like 2 years in my head, but like he's been there long enough, and this has happened enough times where it's probably time for them to like. Because I'm pretty against firing a coach who gets you into the playoffs. Like, I think it takes a lot to do it.
2020 is when he got signed.
So 2020, 21, and 20. So yeah, this was his fourth season. So like he's had long enough to do it. And he's been in the league long enough as a head coach where it's not like he's a first-time head coach. It's just they need something else. They need something that's more from him. And like Cowboys fans they've been crapped on long enough that you know we can welcome them into our life sucks fan base, arena. Like,
yes,
we get it. You're very good in the regular season, and then bad things happen to you in the postseason. And while plenty of teams would like, you were happy to get your ass kicked this weekend. You're like, if the Cowboys kick our ass, fine.
I want to know about.
That's why they were dangerous. That's why they were dangerous.
Yeah, but that, and again, the Packers now going forward. Of course, they're playing the San Francisco 49ers on primetime on Saturday. And that's another game where, talk about odds stacked against the Packers. Yeah. If we had house money before, I don't even know what we have. We got skyscraper money now. Like it is, we are backed up. We're fine. We're fine.
If your offense is 2/3 of what if it produces 2/3 of what it did against the Cowboys, against the 49ers and their defense, then you guys should get your hopes as high as possible. You should start thinking 3 Super Bowls in a row type crazy shit, because
Brandon,
I just can't understate how much more well-prepared I think the 49ers will be than what I saw from Dallas.
All right, here's the thing. Even during the game, we're up 27, and I was like, no, I can't get excited yet.
No, then it was saying if.
No, I know. Here's I am elated. I am so effing happy that we beat the crap out of the Dallas Cowboys yesterday. I am, right? It was like a damn, that felt good. Yeah. Jordan Love is like, I'm here, bro. Like, this is it. Has very similar stat line to CJ Stroud. We're going to talk about every single game, so don't worry. We'll get to it. If, and this is a big if, the Green Bay Packers defeat the 49ers, the thing that Rodgers could never do in the playoffs.
Oh, my God.
Hold on, Brandon. Hold on.
Oh, my God.
And they could potentially take on the Lions in the NFC Championship game. And they're one game away from a Super Bowl that I'm going to.
Yeah.
like I'm getting emotional about it. Like, dude, like that would be holy crap. This is like the greatest thing like I've ever like my life. But I can't allow myself to do that because then the disappointment is going to punch me so hard in the gonads. So hard.
No, I think you have to. It has to be once you get at the end of that 49ers game.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was fun. I'm not surprised the Packers won. I'm just surprised the way they won.
I agree.
Man, like you could argue this is the best Cowboys team they've had heading into the postseason. Their defense was good all year. Their offense, highest scoring in the league. You got the youngest team in the NFL to ever win a playoff game now.
Yep.
And you're like, maybe you'll take experience over the youth in that situation. And no, it was just a pleasant 2 seed getting their butts handed to them by 7 seed. And I didn't even know this because I saw LaFleur's like speech thing that was the first 7 seed to win a playoff game. I didn't know that.
Correct. Yep.
Now the Steelers could become the second if they beat Buffalo, but
yeah. Oh no, that's the thing. It's how somebody like I will be so. Of course, I'll be disappointed because like my team loses.
Yeah.
But they made it to. We were supposed to be rebuilding. I said 10 wins. We got number 10 yesterday.
The coolest thing right now,
let's go,
is that the quarterbacks who are dealing are CJ Stroud, Jordan Love, and Brock Purdy's done it all year, right? Except one or two big games, Brock didn't play great. But those are 3 quarterbacks. Very few, if any, could have predicted we're going to be this good. Started with Brock Purdy a year ago as Mr. Irrelevant. That's a general like holy shit type shocker, right?
Yeah.
Like who is this guy? Why is he playing so well? Oh, it's just Kyle Shanahan. Oh no, he's actually got it. CJ Stroud, number 2 overall pick. You expect him to be good.
Sure.
But for a number 2 pick, for a guy with like all the tools, he did not get a lot of like love and hype heading into the season or even when the Texans drafted him. And then Jordan Love just sitting for 3 years was just a mystery behind Rodgers. And so it's like, it's the best, like it's awesome for the NFL to have 3 guys that we didn't expect to be so good right away.
But it's so effing exciting for the game because it's like young, like out of nowhere guys like you're talking about. Like, again, the chances are super slim, but like we're talking about a potential like CJ Stroud, Jordan Love Super Bowl. And people are like, what? You know what I mean? Like the fact that they both played that well this weekend, like it's just damn. Like, all right, the Texans are going to be good for years to come. The Packers, which they have, but they've been very fortunate for that. But it's under a new squad, new regime. And it's just like, it's really cool when you see young guys coming. Like, dude, I know it's going to get overshadowed because they lost yesterday, but Puka Nacua.
Yeah.
Like 5th round pick came out of nowhere. One of the best seasons ever for a wide receiver.
181 yards in that game or
dude.
something.
Amazing. So,
I mean, he nearly killed the Lions. Close.
Let's go, Alec. Let's go. Let's talk about some games, buddy. Let's talk about some games.
Let's go to the Lions.
You want to go to the Lions?
Let's
First
go to
of all,
the Detroit freaking Lions. So nice. So nice. 32 years for a playoff victory. No fan base deserved it more than the Lions. None.
Crazy.
Not a single fan base in the NFL deserved to see their team win a playoff game more than the Detroit Lions, and it happened. It happened for them. They beat a very good team. Got close at the end there. Yeah. Almost slipped away from them, but it didn't. It didn't. Got a Dan Campbell fourth down call that works.
Dude. McVay was gutsy too. You know, the only thing was when they punted it away with like 4 minutes left and they only had one timeout, I was like,
yeah, Lions just said not going to happen.
Yeah, they were talking about, of course, that, you know, the non-PI call that was for Puka. That was like the big thing that was going on social media right afterwards.
Oh, the Lions got one favorable call in the last 32 years. One time. Lions also probably got robbed of points because of that false start that was called on them. That wasn't a false start, right?
Joe Barry gets fired into the sun if that happens.
Oof.
But
yeah. Oh my God. Like, so I did a new worst episode for the Packers Cowboys, Tom. I was like, well, this is bad.
It's true.
And so I started writing it around halftime, just assuming the Packers were going to continue.
Yeah.
And there was this second in there where I'm like, man, what if the Cowboys win? Then I was like, oh, it still works. Then it's even worse. It's an even worse episode.
Exactly.
But it was never even close. Like the Cowboys got so much garbage time production.
They did.
Because their garbage time was the longest garbage time I think any team's had in playoff history.
Yeah.
The final score of that game is the most misleading
did not happen
you will ever see.
Well, real quick, I know
outside of maybe Russell Wilson's stat line every single week.
The thing that makes me excited too, though, is like Jaden Reed has been like the wide receiver for the Packers. 0. Nothing yesterday. Romeo Doubs did just about everything. Luke Musgrave had that one play where he was like a jillion yards open. But that makes it so exciting because this offense is so effing talented. And it's all young guys. Like, it's amazing. Stefanski's still up for there, by the way, because the playoffs don't count for this. So
you say Jaden Reed, no production yesterday?
For catches? Yeah, he had 0 catches.
Yeah, no shit. No shit. 0.
That's true, Bill. That's true.
Luckily, obviously, like I missed on some other ones.
Mm-hmm. Well, see, no, that's dumb. Not knowing the stakes, that's not it. I've looked at it as they're getting experience. Yeah. This is great playoff experience. They're so young, it's exciting. So it's like, damn, this could, like, the ceiling is very high. Don't know the stakes? Nah, that's dumb. That's dumb. That's a dumbass narrative. Nay.
But see, I knew Jordan Love was going to get higher. I knew that.
Look at you going CD lower.
I knew it. Like, I was like, you know what? Everybody expects him to go off. And I know Joe Barry's had some issues. I'm like, the Packers are going to have a game plan for CD Lamb on defense.
And for Jefferson.
I feel like they are. I mean, he still had 16. That's good. But like Kupp, like the Lions taking Cooper Kupp out of that game. I know Puka Nacua went off.
Yeah.
But they held Kupp. And they also got Detroit off their game plan because Kyron Williams, only 13 carries in that game. And a big part of that is because Detroit scored 2 touchdowns in the first quarter. So, like, the Lions get away from what was working for them so well late this season was running the football. And, so I lost my ass again on Underdog Fantasy. I'm going to get one tonight, though, Tom. I'm going to get one tonight.
Oh, yeah, I won yesterday.
Look at this. Mason Rudolph, 9.45 fantasy. I got to go higher on that.
Still going.
I got to go higher on Najee.
I got you.
21 for Josh Allen. That seems high.
Oops.
Give me a Dalton Kincaid game.
Oh, cursing everybody.
Give me higher on Pickens. I think the Bills are going to win. I just think all this production's low. So we're going to go... let's see here. What's a good number for the Bills? What's a lucky Bills number, Tom?
4.
Yeah, let's go 44. Let's just double it up. Or do I go 444?
It's not a lucky number for the Bills.
Do I go $444 for the Bills to break the curse?
Perna. As long as you can justify it to Carmi, why she's not going to be able to do much later.
All right, let me rethink this. Let's see here. Higher on Rudolph.
Like, there's snow still on the ground, man. Like, they're still shoveling out the stadium.
I know. Yeah, but it's 9 fantasy points,
All right.
The Bills defense is good.
You do you.
Bills defense is good. What if I add in Diggs is higher? How much is... Oh, that goes to $6,000? Fuck it. Let's roll, baby. Buffalo all the way this time. Underdog fantasy. I just did it. I just did a risky pick 'em, Tom.
Meanwhile, I
bet Buffalo all the way this time.
I bet like $25 and won like $260 yesterday.
If I win $6,000, I am retiring. I don't know how much money that is, but I think it's a lot.
Remember, folks, responsibly, please. Bet with, not over.
Can I have some funds, Underdog?
Nope.
May I have some more funds, please?
Well, reaction is done, but yeah, it's done. Johnny's internet's not working, so it was done last night, but unfortunately can't get it to me right now. So we're trying. We'll get
Just
it.
use our code GPS if you want to play underdog. If you want to do some pick'ems for tonight's games, they got both games on the slate there. Link in the description. They'll match your first deposit up to $100. I think the Bills will win tonight. But first, where were we at? Lions? Are we still on the
we're
Lions?
talking about Lions and Rams. Yeah, I think when it comes to the Rams, like they're another team that obviously they're disappointed today. I'm at Los Angeles. They're disappointed, but dude, their rebuild is over. You know what I mean? Like they were able to do it. Like last year was really bad for them. They won a Super Bowl the year before, and now like they're in the playoffs, and they lost by 1 point. So that has to be super exciting for them. They have a first round pick finally for the first time in a cajillion years.
Yeah,
and
I bet
now
they
like
trade that shit.
Just like, no, we need another. We'll get Jalen Ramsey back. But yeah, dude, like the Rams, like it is really exciting, and however long Stafford wants to play, that team's going to be competitive.
Yeah, they have 10 draft picks, the Rams. So they're a team that, when you look at the Rams and the Packers right now, they do business in complete opposite ways.
Yes.
Like they're on opposite ends of the spectrum on how they do their shit.
True, Saul.
And it's just like one of those things where it shows that you can build your team with a very different philosophical approach in the NFL, and you can have success with it. So both teams are in a really good spot, even, heading into this offseason. I don't know what the Rams cap space situation is, but I think they should be back on track after they got through this year. And Stafford playing well, and also he got the piss beat out of him in that game. And that shot he took where he hurt his hand early, cut his hand open.
Yeah.
Then something else was hurting on him. And then he gets hit. His head hits the ground. His eyes go like this. Everyone's like, oh, that's a concussion. And then he's back in the next series after getting checked out. Like,
dude, but like that's been the thing that I've always respected the hell out of Matthew Stafford, because he did it in Detroit too. He just didn't get the coverage unless you were in the NFC North. Like it was just like he got the piss beaten out of him behind a bad offensive line. He got crushed, and he like would come. He came in. What was that dislocated shoulder, and still like threw the pass. Dude, like
they played that on the NFL Network before that game, like re-highlighting that game against the Browns.
I will always have respect for Matthew Stafford. Like I'm happy he got that ring, and it's just for him to also, I know he would want to win, but for him to just be there when Detroit wins their first playoff game in 30 years, first one at Ford Field, like that's just such an awesome football, like human moment.
We always knew Matthew Stafford would give the Lions their first playoff win. We always knew it. We always knew it. I mean, he did a no-look pass in that game. Yep. He's done that his whole career. Never really gotten credit for it. Got beat up. Gave his team a chance to win. And he's been that guy. And he just proved it again. But to be fair to Matty Stafford, this is Dan Campbell's Lions team now. This is Dan Campbell's team. He lost to Jared Goff. The Lions, I don't know how powerful it is if you exercise your curse against your greatest football hero since Barry Sanders, right? Like
Calvin Johnson might be.
What's that?
Calvin Johnson.
Matthew Stafford's a bigger hero than Calvin Johnson. Calvin Johnson retired even earlier than Barry, really. But like I'm saying, is that enough to take the Lions to the Super Bowl?
They have the greatest circumstances.
Like, do they have enough black magic on their side now is what I'm asking.
But it's that. But, dude, like, if you're the Lions, you're hosting another playoff game, and it's the winner of the Eagles-Buccaneers. If you are a Lions fan, of course there's going to be nerves and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think that game is not going to be as tough as the Rams game was. If the same Eagles and Buccaneers that we have seen, like, I'm not saying it's not going to be a competitive game. I'm not saying the Lions can't lose, but
I don't even know who you want more from that game, because you could argue either way. But they should be in the NFC Championship game. Please, Lions, let one of my predictions be correct. Amon-Ra, he was good. Laporta defies, healing. He plays in this game, catches a touchdown early. Jahmyr Gibbs scores a touchdown. I'm for winners and losers, I was like trying to track all the rookies that scored TDs this weekend. It's a lot. Gibbs, Laporta, Nakua. You got CJ Stroud throwing
Luke
3
Musgrave.
touchdowns. Musgrave scored 1. Wicks scores 1. Like, that's got to be a record for rookie scoring touchdowns.
Beware, Winnipeg.
Yeah. And Josh Reynolds, too. Little revenge, under the radar revenge game. He played well for Detroit. They targeted him early. Reynolds was targeted a lot early.
He was, yeah.
And I feel like that kind of had to be a Dan Campbell plan, right? Like, let's get him involved. This is his old team, too. Let's get that going quickly. And I tweeted this last night because we've been talking about Coach of the Year a lot, right?
Yeah.
Lately. We have not been putting Dan Campbell in that conversation at all recently. And it's because we've been criticizing some of what was going on with the line, some of his in-game calls and stuff that you look at a game-by-game basis. But like Coach of the Year, it's like about a body of work over a full season. And I know there's D'Amico Ryans out there, and he's probably going to get it. But Dan Campbell, it's not even just this year. What he's done since he got to Detroit, going from a 3-win, they got 3 wins their first year with Goff, and they won a playoff game. To me, that's more impressive than what D'Amico Ryans did, because D'Amico Ryans was given the greatest gift you can give a head coach, and that is an insanely talented quarterback.
Well, I think it's almost like I gotta give you a little.
Oh wow, is that a pancreas?
That's all the Cowboys won't be looking at. Because got to get your pancreas checked. So you talk about why the Lions have had success, and I think you have Penei Sewell who gets drafted like that. The fact that he fell into their laps was like a home run.
They've drafted so well.
So, and this got said in the locker room afterwards. Dan Campbell gave away 2 game balls, right? One to Jared Goff, and that was like an awesome moment. The other was to GM Brad Holmes, who you saw him cheering in the elevator. Like, that's freaking awesome. But it was the speech that Dan Campbell made and was like, we both have the same vision. It's about grit. We want to draft gritty players. We want to build up the trenches. And I think when you have a GM and a head coach that have that same exact vision and they are locked in, like, you're talking about great duos right now in the NFL and like what they want for their team and building their team and that roster. Like, they had those low draft picks. They got Penei Sewell. They crushed the draft this year. I mean, yeah, like, that's going to make your job a whole lot easier. We're talking all around the NFL of like, oh, well, this coach's not looking good. This GM is not looking good. We talk about Bill Belichick, right? And how he's good coach, bad GM. Here, like, the Lions have a good coach, right, who can be really risky, can kind of put it all on the line. But you also have a GM who's backing him and is constructing a roster that is allowing Dan Campbell to do what he wants and kind of get the team on the field that he wants as well.
I don't think there's probably a couple examples, but I think Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes understand their team's identity as good, if not better, than any other head coach GM combo in the league. And like me saying that I think Dan Campbell should be considered and should actually be Coach of the Year doesn't take away from the fact that I still would criticize some of the things that we saw in the last 2 weeks there. Losing to the Cowboys the way they did, and playing Laporta where he got hurt. Miracle happened and Laporta comes back. Like, you can criticize some of those decisions, but overall, there's still no coach you root for more than Dan Campbell. Like, he's so fucking passionate about his team and the way they approach the game. It's cool to watch. And knowing how criticized he was from his opening press conference with the Lions, just like Jonathan Gannon, like all that shit, didn't matter. And they talked about it, I think it was on Good Morning Football. Like, he specifically wanted the Lions job. Like, he wanted to be there, and Detroit needed a guy like that so bad.
They did.
So bad that they looked at that opportunity as a place where they wanted to be, not like this is the only job I can get type thing. You know what I mean? So it's cool. It's
also cleanse the palate after Matt Patricia, because Matt Patricia was thought he's gonna be the guy that's gonna save Detroit, one of the hottest coaches coming out of here, it's gonna be great. And it didn't just go poorly, it went horrifically bad. It alienated players, like alienated everything. And now I think it's like that former player mentality too. You look at so many of their coaches who are former players, and I think that builds that identity that you're talking about.
Yeah, you talk about windows too. Lions are in one because their coordinators are probably going to be gone. And we just watched kind of what happens like with the Eagles. They lose both of their coordinators after getting into the Super Bowl. And if those guys are really, really good, it's a tough thing to cycle through losing both of those guys. And I just hope I hope one of them stays. I don't know if they will, but Lions you got to push all the way to the Super Bowl because you got the momentum, and I think it's going to be harder next year. You got the Packers who are going to be better next year within the division. So, go get it. Take advantage of this window.
I don't think the Higbee hit was intentional. Like it didn't. It looked really bad though. It looked horrible.
You go low on big dudes. It's legal to do that.
Yeah.
You go down on big dudes, Tom. That's what you do in the NFL. You just go down on big dudes if you want to get them. If you want to get them, you go down on big dudes.
By the way, folks, we have over 12,000 people in here watching. We appreciate you. We're GPS. We're every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We'll also be streaming the Bills game together as well. And listen, at the end of the day, like the Lions, you talk about windows. Like you talk about that Bengals run, right? Where like nobody thought they would be going to the Super Bowl, like one of the worst teams, and then kind of going there. It feels like that could be it for the Lions. It could be it for the Texans. The Packers are potentially on that list. They have a long way to go. But I think right now, if somehow, some way, the Packers pull off that win against the 49ers, the Lions have like the best path to the Super Bowl besides the Ravens, I would say. Because then they would be able to host all 3 games. They're going to be playing the winner of the Eagles-Bucks, and then they'd be playing the Packers. That would be...
Yeah. 2 home games for the Lions in the playoffs, possibly 3. That's fucking nuts, man. That is insane.
From your first one to now 3.
Yeah. It's crazy though. So Higbee, he tore his ACL on that hit. Was that Branch who hit him low too?
It was. I didn't see who. I forgot who hit him, but
yeah. But it's crazy. It's like the final game of the season. That's the same thing that happened basically to OBJ in the Super Bowl. Like tearing your ACL in the final game of the season. That's like, I feel like one of the worst times to do it.
Yeah.
Because it just puts like when you're going to be able to return back into question. It's tough. All right. Lions, love it. See what happens. If you and the Packers meet in the playoffs, it's going to be crazy. But we got the Dolphins didn't show up in the cold. We know that. We streamed that game. That game felt like the Dolphins losing felt the way the Cowboys did, but I think it was so cold that they just held the Chiefs to a bunch of field goals, so the ass kicking wasn't as bad. The Chiefs dominated that game, I think, in similar fashion.
But the Dolphins are like, again, this is going to be one of the wildest off seasons that I think we're going to see in a while because of all coaching vacancies, because of who's available at head coach, right? But you look at the Dolphins, what the hell do you do? Of course, they're beat to hell, right? Like, a ton of injuries. Yeah. But now, here we go. Like, again with the Dolphins, is Tua the guy? Is Mike McDaniel the guy? Like, we're just going to go through it all over and over and over and over again. Because similar to the Cowboys, right? They could have a great season, and then they'll fall apart. They now have the longest drought when it comes to playoff wins. And now it's...
Since 2000.
This is not great. This is not great. So, again, they need to get healthy first. But I think I said it yesterday. It's when the Dolphins are doing poorly, and again, they were beat to hell, the limitations of Tua look even worse. And I think that's the same with Dak a little bit too. It's like when you have a losing effort, what have you, the coaching all of a sudden that you kind of excuse or you talk about during the season, but you're like, hey, we're in the playoffs, it doesn't matter. Now that there's no more season, those issues become so much more glaring, and those become like the major talking points about your organization. And so the Dolphins have some really tough decisions to make in this offseason.
It's hard because Tua is better than so many quarterbacks in the NFL, but he hasn't had basically since that fucking Ravens game, not this season, but the season before. when the Dolphins had like, you throw like 5 touchdowns in the second half or 4 touchdowns. Like, we thought we could see him do that more. And then the injuries happened. And then this year they killed the Broncos, but like, there just hasn't been multiple games where like, all right, Tua's it. He's the dude. And he's still a good quarterback. But when he gets rattled, when the team gets rattled, he's not a quarterback who brings the team back. And I think that's what the issue is. It's like, one, the Chiefs came to play. They handled the cold better. Their defense is really good, and it also had their starters. Like, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I mean, I think Chiefs fans are a little overexcited about their performance in that game, forgetting that the Dolphins were without 3 edge rushers, without one of their linebackers, without their second corner. I didn't like the Dolphins' chances going into that game.
No, I don't think a lot of people did. Ryan, by the way. Oh, sorry. Okay.
No. Go ahead. Go. I forgot what point I was making. So distracted while I think about what the fuck I was about to say.
GG's. Best of luck. Hope we see you there. Yeah. By the way, Perna, you like football?
Yeah.
You like football?
Yeah, I do.
We do too.
Yeah.
Your hair looked like that in that clip.
Spring League football, baby.
Let's go, Ryan. GG's. Congrats.
What was my point? My point is
about Dolphins not being favored going into that game. You know, the Chiefs are maybe overestimating that win.
I expected that result to happen for the Dolphins. And you can criticize Tua, you can have questions, and all of that is fair. But I think of all the teams going into Wild Card Weekend, they were at the biggest disadvantage for injuries and then going into a situation that they are a team not built to play in. Now, the playoffs happen in the winter. So that's not an excuse. I'm just saying, like, that's what happened to the Dolphins, and they got to figure out how they can be better if they get back into that situation, because the only way they can avoid that is if they win their division and win the AFC as a whole, and they can host all their playoff games in nice, comfortable Miami. So,
but I don't even know if that's going to do it, though. Like, I think we're at that point where I legitimately don't know, because I think I know we're talking about, yes, they're beaten up. Yes, they're going into an environment, which is, first of all, it's Arrowhead. Whether it's warm or cold, it's going to suck because it's a tough place to play. But then you're going in like -30 wind chill. You're a warm weather team, all that. I understand all that. That's why I picked against the Dolphins this Saturday. However, some of the play calling, dude, and I get it. The elements are really bad. They was bad. Like, the Dolphins looked like they gave up early in that game.
It was not Mike McDaniel's best game by any means. But I think, too, like, some of those play calls, and I watched a lot of it with Russ, right, this year, where the quarterback's making his one read, and then he's throwing it to whatever his check down is, whether that's a back or a receiver sitting there. True. That was the Broncos offense I watched all year. And I put that more on your QB than your coach calling the play. And Mike McDaniel will probably take all the blame for it because that's what he does. But the Dolphins, honestly, it reminded me a lot of the Broncos going into Super Bowl 48, where they just got physically outplayed by their opponent. And nobody really talked about how decimated like the defense was heading into that game.
They were.
And you need your defense in the postseason.
A little bit.
And I think if I'm trying to be optimistic for the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Fangio's first year with the defense, I think the defense got better throughout the year, and they cycled through different injuries. Like, they didn't have Jalen Ramsey for a while. Yep. Then he comes back. Then they lose Xavier Howard. They lose all their fucking edge rushers, and Bradley Chubb was playing really well for the Dolphins. They lose their linebacker. The defense started to, I feel like, get an identity. So, like, maybe let them do one more year. Do they have to make a decision on Tua's contract, though? Like, was this his 5th year or is his 4th year? Does he get one more year there?
Let me see.
Can they just rock with him for one more season without having to, like, extend him?
Give me 2 seconds. So 2024, he is his last year. So they got
I know we're gonna, like, you're trying to think about the future, but just like one more year with it, see what happens.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, at this point too, it's just like rock, see what you got, and if not, then you're gonna tear it all down.
Yeah.
But I will say, talk about windows, having Jalen Waddle, having Tyreek Hill on the same team, all that stuff. Like,
Yeah.
window can only be open for so long.
Yeah, it's like the only way I see the Dolphins doing something different is if there is a clear path to an upgrade at the QB position for them. I don't know.
I don't think they can get.
I don't know who that is because
mean,
as a Broncos fan, we got much better draft pick, and I don't see a clear path for us to get an upgrade.
Well, you know what? And it's interesting too, because like you can make the same argument for the Cowboys, right? If we're talking about, because this is also when the time of the year, and I see this comment every single postseason. They're like, okay, well, so-and-so is good. I've seen this said about Justin Herbert. I've seen this said about Tua. I've seen this said about Dak. I've seen this said about Kirk Cousins. I've seen basically any like good to like great quarterback, but not elite. They're like, we need an elite quarterback. Do you know how difficult it is to go and get one?
Says the Packers fan who just pulls them out of their fucking asshole every draft.
Or maybe, I don't know, you just go the traditional route of letting them sit behind a Hall of Famer and then you rock and roll. I don't know. I say you let guys sit. I mean, Patrick Mahomes had a pretty good career and he sat behind Alex Smith for a year, and I think that was really beneficial. So maybe if we just have some effing patience as fans, could work out.
Patience they do need. But again, like, yeah, it's hard to find an elite QB. Not going to argue that.
Ooh, I did not.
But like, you know, again, like the Packers approach works. So does the Rams approach. Trade all those picks. Get your Stafford. Win that Super Bowl.
Definitely can.
So like, yeah, I get either one. But watching the Packers this year, you're like, well, that's the way to do it. Everybody's got to do that. Like the Chiefs should be drafting quarterbacks starting now.
Piss off Patrick Mahomes now.
Yeah.
But I think it's that point of, we're in an age where CJ Stroud going out there and lighting it up, Joe Burrow going out there and lighting up, then getting injured, but then just continuing it and lighting it up. That's the exception usually, because, and I've made this argument for years, and that's always my biggest what if question. You draft QBs, who's drafting them? The majority of the times it's bad football teams, right? Because that's why they have that pick. And you throw them in a situation where maybe the O-line is not good, looking at you, Bryce Young, looking at you, Justin Fields, looking at like maybe there's some coaching fluctuations, looking at you, Bryce Young, looking at you, Justin Fields. Like, you see what I mean? Like, you get thrown in these situations and then the QBs don't work and you go, oh no. And that's why, like, looking at the Bears, this is not a, hey, like, you suck. This is a warning. If you are keeping Eberflus and you decide, yep, let's go get Caleb Williams, and you throw him behind that offensive line and Eberflus gets fired after this year, guess where we are?
Yeah.
And like, it will take an elite talent to actually overcome those odds. And it makes it look even better when they do. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But
it's even CJ Stroud playing well.
Definitely.
This season, it bucks another narrative that had kind of been true, where like the second QB taken just sucks.
Yeah.
Like, was it Zach Wilson was 2? RG3 didn't suck. He just had injury. You had like Ryan Leaf after Peyton Manning. So like the team that had to pick 2 in so many like examples, they got the wrong guy. This year, completely opposite. My point is, there's no way to build a football team. It's a guess, and you just better guess right.
You better get it right.
You better guess right.
Or it's like a really slow. I mean, you look at why the 49ers have been so good, right?
Yeah. And even they took Trey Lance.
They
drafted.
Yeah, and then they took Trey Lance, but then they lucked out by getting Brock Purdy as the last pick in the draft. But they drafted well. They have good coaching. They have stability there. And now you're starting to see, right? So Washington poaching assistant GMs over there. Like, you see it. I still think it's the Ravens, but I have no idea from the NFC. Maybe the 49ers still.
Yeah.
I got no idea.
And then Joe Flacco.
That's
he turned back into a pumpkin.
Poor Joe Flacco.
2 pick sixes, right?
Okay. I'm going to call a timeout real quick. We're talking about Dan Campbell, like, coach of the year nod, D'Amico Ryan's course, coach of the year nod, what have you.
Oh, wow. Your brother's boss. Nice.
Stefanski, even though, like, what happened on Saturday happened, I still think that, in my opinion, he should get coach of the year. Because
he won it. No.
In terms of people who have done more with legitimately injuries to, like, every single position, multiple times, I think it's pretty damn impressive. I understand if D'Amico gets it. I understand if Dan Campbell gets it.
Sure.
But Stefanski, in terms of just like doing the most with less, he brought Joe Flacco still to the postseason, right? And Flacco played
Or
well.
Joe Flacco brought him to the postseason.
Well, he didn't keep him there.
No.
I'll tell you that much.
Here's my problem with Stefanski. He said yes to Deshaun Watson, so I can never forgive him for that.
Listen, I'm talking about like Dable last year.
We forget
Same roster.
Matt Nagy won Coach of the Year. We forget that.
And that was that shouldn't have happened.
Remember that?
Oh, I do. Oh, no,
Ooh,
I do.
Good.
That's good. Keep him. Just keep him. Keep him.
Yeah.
Sorry, he'll get thrown under the bus.
Stefanski's a very good head coach. All joking
Mhm.
aside, he's very good. He's in that conversation, should be in that conversation.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, Texans Browns, I felt like that was going to be the most even matched game. Texans dominated start to finish. Well, it was a good first half. And then Flacco throws those pick sixes.
Yeah.
And when I said Flacco couldn't help the Browns, that's the Joe Flacco I watched in Denver.
Yeah.
Make some nice throws. Make some, like, there was a game, I forget if the Broncos were playing the Jaguars or whoever, they were trailing. Flacco throws this ball down the right sideline to Emmanuel Sanders, either for the touchdown or to get him right on the goal line. I'm like, oh, God, that's why we went and got Joe Flacco, those throws. I think it was the Jags game because I think Gardner Minshew then just had this ridiculous, he fumbled, picked the ball up, throws it. They get this comeback and beat us in heartbreaking fashion. But he's got the arm. He's going to give you all those things.
Yeah.
But he's going to make, and we saw him throw picks while he was making his run this season. This game, he threw those picks at the wrong time, and they were in the worst situations, and they went the other way. And that's the Joe Flacco I know because I watched that guy in Denver, and we got this clip of him on Saturday where he was just ripping the Broncos play calling while he was with the Broncos. I was like, oh yeah, I remember nothing going right, but it was cool to see him get there. But like CJ Stroud, just him and Jordan Love shouldn't be as calm as they are. I don't understand it. Like, they don't get rattled.
Same way. Burrow, I will never forget that it was a Thursday night game. It was the Browns Bengals, and I'm sitting there, and the offensive line for the Bengals was not good.
Yeah.
And Burrow is under constant duress, pressure, and he's just.
Yeah. And the difference, like Stroud and Love are more physically talented than Joe Burrow.
You mean like running ability or?
Like, I think their arms are a little bit stronger. They're more mobile.
Burrow
like,
can launch it.
No, I'm not saying Burrow's not. I'm just saying like they are as calm as Joe Burrow, and they're a little bit more physically gifted. So they're like Joe Burrow's already a quarterback, in my opinion, who's on steroids. They're on more steroids than Joe Burrow. Big fan, Joe, my man. Josh Allen's on the most steroids. We know that. He's on the turnover roids too, but he lives with it.
That's the side effect.
Yeah. I'm just saying the only way they can top Joe Burrow in the postseason right now is Love or CJ Stroud needs to be sacked 10 times and get a win in that game.
Which is also great for the Packers. Good God, their offensive line was great yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Like $45 million a year. Somewhere around there, I think, is what the contract's going to be. Wouldn't be surprised for a 4 or 5 year deal.
My favorite thing about the Cowboys' loss is Micah Parsons finally drew not 1 but 2 holding penalties. And it didn't matter at all. Just
they finally got the holding calls.
Finally got him.
They finally got him, but I think it's also part of the cold too. But I mean, that's been the offense. The offense has been a problem almost all year for Kansas City.
Yeah,
and that's why, like, if the Bills win today, which I think they're going to, if the Bills win, it's going to be a really interesting matchup, and that's going to be prime time on Sunday night. If the Chiefs win against the Buffalo, that's going to be a fun game. Yeah,
the Chiefs have the flaw. We all know what it is, but they got a good defense, and if they lean on their run game, they're a very dangerous team. They're just not the Chiefs we're used to seeing. So now we got Bills, Steelers today because it got moved. Blizzard, right?
Yep.
And then Eagles, Bucks. And I'm sure the Eagles-Buccaneers game is going to turn out to be a really good game.
You think
But
so?
it feels like it's definitely the least anticipated game this weekend, this wild card weekend. I'm so much more excited for Bills Steelers, and I feel like Bills Steelers could be, because of the weather, and it just very ugly. Not that good of a game overall, but I'm excited. We're gonna stream Bills Steelers at 2:30 my time on Tom.
Hey,
Yeah,
Mr. Powers.
there you go, Lions fan.
For the kitty. Gotta be elated. Gotta be elated. And you know what, though? Like, it's one of those things, like watching the Lions win, because everyone knows, like, I have no issues with the Lions yet. Don't worry. It'll get there when our rivalry becomes a little bit more competitive. But I have a lot of respect for the Lions, especially their fans, for just dealing with everything they've dealt with for the past 3 decades. But, like, there was legitimately and I do not feel this way about the Vikings. I don't feel this way about the Bears. There was legit, like, a feeling of, like, NFC divisional, like, North pride. And I was like, damn, if it winds up being, and it might be far-fetched, if it is the NFC Championship game, dude, like, that is going to break every record. That is going to be such an awesome moment for one of those fan base. For both of them, too, though. It's like, hey, these are the 2 teams that are here representing the NFC at the very end, and one of them's going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
Like,
that could be the most watched NFC playoff game ever.
Yes. Oh, I mean, to talk about these records, I mean, we broke our records yesterday, which was insane. We had 33,000 people in there. You know, that will be crazy. So basically, Mr. Powers, here you go.
Let's ride.
That's right.
All right, I love you.
Oh, yeah, I love you.
Brandon?
What? I'm just a big Packers fan.
First of all, that's for Carmi. And
I know. This is like the one hat that's actually too small for my head.
Okay, first of all, that's for Carmi. And if anything, I still don't recall being thanked every single week that I gave her a cheese head, because at least she could have a team to root for, first of all.
She's going to know pain, my child. She's going to know pain watching football.
Okay, I'm glad you put watching football in there. That was necessary, because a clip that could have been sent to somebody else, but that's good.
We have it on tape.
We have it on tape. Child services just like, what's this all about? And they're just like,
yeah, James, February, we'll get a little UFL update video. And then UFL.
So do you think I think this Bills Steelers game could be a low scoring game. Low scoring.
Yeah, I mean, the Chiefs Dolphins game
It's true.
There's more points that happened in that game than I thought. I feel like it'll be similar. Depends on the wind. What's the wind there? Josh Allen can throw in the wind. We saw that when they played the Patriots a couple years ago, and Mac Jones threw it 3 times. So, like, Josh's arm can cut through the wind. And honestly, that's a problem for Tua. Is like, I'm not one of those guys who wants to criticize his arm strength because he gets the ball to the dudes. But in a game with the elements, that affected Tua. Like, there's just no way around it. You need, for those specific games, that's when arm strength isn't an overrated commodity for your quarterback.
Yes, I agree with that. I mean, like, you look at Tua on Saturday. Like, that was something that was standing out. And you said that. And you were just like, not that he has a bad arm or anything, because he could definitely sling it. But, like, the power behind the throw, that's, like, maybe a little bit less than some other QBs, was even more apparent. And that's what I was talking about, the original point. When you have, like, a playoff loss and your season's over and you're looking, okay, what the hell happened? Those, you know, issues or weaknesses become even more glaring. And then going forward, you want to potentially change those things.
Yeah.
So.
Perna, hot take with the Bounty Gate coach.
About Stefanski. Stern's a Browns fan. So you said about Stefanski saying yes to Watson, but you have the Bounty Gate coach. So.
Oh, what's worse though, man? Our football players tried to hurt each other in a football game where you're allowed to hit each other, or what Deshaun Watson did.
All right. Well, I'm going to call you out on that one. That is simplifying it to the absolute max. Come on,
and it wasn't even Sean. It was Greg Williams.
So then Sean deserves even more criticism for not knowing about it on his own damn team.
If Kevin James portrayed my coach, ain't nothing wrong with him. You know who's going to portray Deshaun Watson in a film? Probably Bill Cosby. So let's see where we're at in terms of comparison. Huh? Kevin James?
I don't think he's getting a lot of acting
Bill
roles.
Cosby.
I don't think
They let
he's
him
gonna-
act for one more movie, but it's
They'd
the
have
Deshaun
him.
Watson story.
I think also that would be an interesting creative decision. Besides obviously the horribleness of it, but also just a little bit older.
Yeah.
Do you see that one picture though of Deshaun Watson staring at C.J. Stroud? Like it was just like that. Which is probably just taken like out of
It's
context.
out of
but,
context for sure.
but it's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
No, it is.
We gonna
I
see
am
today.
so happy Watson had to watch the Texans beat the shit out of his current team. And Browns fans are another fan base I root for. I really do. You got the Lions, most tortured, second most tortured, probably Browns. Then Jets are getting there, but like, it was nice. It's nice to see. And just like the Packers erased the memory of Aaron Rodgers, the Texans have done the same thing with Deshaun Watson.
That's accurate. Yeah. But I mean, you talk about the Texans, dude. Like, if they're able to win next week against whoever they wind up playing, I mean, like, it's just going to feel like a weight is lifted.
Yeah.
If you go to the AFC Championship game, your first year with Stroud and D'Amico, come on now. Come on.
Yeah. Stefanski's a good coach.
Yeah.
Also, low-key
Has
one of
weaknesses, but
the most handsome coaches in the NFL, too. He's a good-looking man, Stefanski. Does not get enough credit for that.
it was done at like 1 a.m. last night, but unfortunately Johnny's internet is acting up, so couldn't transfer it over. We're going to try to get it out today, though. It's done. It's done. But yeah, Pern and I will be streaming in about 4 hours because we're going to be going live for Steelers Bills. I'll be streaming tonight's game as well. But Perna, what do you got coming out, buddy? I saw you released a new. Are you officially out of title space that you can't put new that many times?
Yeah.
I'm very proud of you.
And this one was tricky because it's new worst playoff game. I don't know if I've done a worst playoff game.
Ooh.
I didn't know how to. I was a little.
Well,
it was
if
late.
it's
I'm just
for
like,
the
just
Broncos, it's definitely not a playoff game. So
yeah, I don't even know what that could look like.
yes, it's just it's fair.
Look at me.
Fair.
I might have I'm gonna be working on winners and losers. That's not gonna be up until tomorrow morning because we got 2 games left.
Mhm.
Maybe I'll get a short up, but no,
Ooh.
go check out the new worst. It's not so much a Packers video as it is a Cowboys are really they just poo-pooed in the bed type video. But Packers fans, you'll enjoy.
Oh, no, I don't think it's that. I think Scooter's now just accept. I mean, he was on the phone saying it's an organizational curse. So I think he's kind of just fully come full circle. But once if they hire Bill Belichick, he's like, we're back in it.
Scooter needs some love today. Scooter needs our love more than he needs the jabs last night. Fine in the moment. Let's show Scooter some love today. Let's pick Scooter up because he's hurting.
Mm-hmm.
He went hard on calling the Eagles frauds. And if the Eagles go further than the Cowboys in the playoffs,
oh my
clickbait's
God.
going to be rough Thursday for
Dude,
Scooter.
Eagles fans are just waiting. And they're just like, oh, we don't even care if we go to the Super Bowl anymore. They're just like, we might be the worst team in the playoff. It's fine. If we win this one game, they will descend like a murder of crows.
Yeah.
It's gonna
Scooter might want to
beer
retreat somewhere that doesn't have internet if the Eagles
darkness.
win
He
tonight.
tweeted about a darkness retreat. Might need to take one.
Yeah.
Cash White.
Eagles fans, that is the one fan base I am legit scared to make angry.
Mm-hmm.
I think most fan bases kind of have like a moral line. The majority of the fan base has a moral line and they won't cross it. Eagles fans, I feel like, live on the wrong side of the moral line.
Horrible.
You know what I mean? Like, they will get you.
Yeah. We'll see, Nathan.
There's always some crazies in there. They're going to say some crazy shit to you if you piss them off. But, Eagles
there
fans,
ain't no love.
I fear you. I fear you.
There ain't no love for Bill Cosby here. Just to let you know, there ain't no love. No.
Love for Bill.
Zero. Nay.
That's why he's playing Watson. Come on.
Nay. Or like a flock of eagles. No, I want to say murder of crows just because I like saying that.
I respect how vicious Eagles fans are. I really do.
I do too. Dude, like Eagles fans have my utmost respect because they're like, don't like us. That's fine.
Yeah.
We'll punch you in the mouth.
Yeah.
It's fine. We'll pee on you. So there will be post game coming out at some point whenever Johnny's internet works. I've already recorded a Cowboys season reaction recorded for GPS. That's going to come out today. We're streaming the 4:00 game together. We're streaming the late game together. I'm going to at some point record every fan's, put that out tonight because I have to. So every NFL fan's reaction to the wild card will be out at some point tonight. tomorrow, scripted, rankings, probably another video where it's going to be an insane week. We're going to rock.
It's the grind.
It's January, Tom. And by the way, we're 160 subscribers away from 595.
Damn, dog.
Let's go. But folks, we'll see you in a little bit because we'll be streaming. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. That's Brandon Perna. This is GPS. We'll be back on Wednesday as well at 11 a.m. Eastern, at 9 a.m. Mountain Time. You've been navigated.
And you've reached your destination, where I really love and respect Eagles fans. Never, ever want to make you guys upset. I love you guys. I love you.